Hi everyone, it's Lisa here and Daisy. I hope you're all doing really well. And yes, before you adjust your screens or do a second double check, it is actually me here. It must be 10 months. It is 10 months because I've had to go on and look at the last time I recorded anything, and it was May last year, and I can't believe it's been that long. It's so long, in fact, I couldn't remember where I was with the stitching last time we caught up. What is ironic is that I'm actually wearing the same top today, which is really weird, but my hair's a lot darker and a lot longer than it was then. I was still quite blonde then because we'd only been in a lockdown for about 10 weeks, and now we've just, well, it was about 2 weeks ago. I've been working from home for a year now, and honestly I cannot believe how long it's been away from that normal type of job that I've historically done for years and years. So it's weird, but honestly so much has happened, which is why I've been away so long. I've got really so much to tell you, but I'm not going to do it in this video. I'm going to probably sit and do a stitch with me, I think, and have a chat to you and tell you about everything that has been happening. But honestly, it's great. My life is, apart from the situation that we're in, probably the best it's been in, I can't even remember the last time I was as happy and fulfilled as I am. So stitching has significantly been impacted, so there's not as much progress as you would expect to see 10 years, it feels like 10 years, 10 months down the line. But I do have some new starts and I have made some progress, so I thought, right, I'm going to have to get back in and come and catch up with you guys. So without further ado, I'm going to start and show you what I've been up to. So we'll start with one of my regulars. So we'll start with my Steam Heart. So this is a piece by Ortega, and I'll do my usual where I put what it will look like when it's finished in, and obviously show you where I've got to or where I was last time you saw it. So this is Steam Heart by Ortega. It's a Heaven and Earth design piece. She is stitched, 1/1 on 25 count Lagana, and I'll just stand her up because, as I always say, she's a sizable piece. So you can see if I kind of lift her up now, because I'm having to do this. Let me get her into shot. I've done more than I thought I had when I came back and did that double check. Sorry, the sun's starting to hit now. I was trying to get this filmed before the sun came round. Let me, if I angle it that way, might get it out of the sun. But I'd worked a little bit more down here because this is where the fancy railings start. And then, unbeknownst to me, and obviously this was quite a surprise because I haven't seen this for, it must be about 6 months since I've worked on her, which is terrible. I had started to work my way over to her arm and her skin and her hair, and I remember that I was really enjoying working on that section of her, and it was stitching up pretty quickly. So I've probably done about half a page on her, which I know is abysmal, but it's still progress. Every stitch counts. This is what we always say to ourselves, isn't it? But this is magnificent. I mean, she's going to be amazing when she's done. But I do have a little bit of a story to add in here. Gosh, the sun is starting to come. Anyway, I was working on her, and for whatever reason, my system, I was doing Easy PDF. And I don't know if anybody else has had a problem with Easy PDF, the app. So I had the app on, it was a Kindle, and it won't open. And it's taken my work, and luckily for me, I do back it up periodically, but it happened to be the time where I probably hadn't backed it up for a couple of months. So I was then completely blocked out of the app, cannot open it, still can't open it to even transfer the file to a Dropbox. So I have discovered Pattern Keeper, the app. Oh, good gracious me, it's amazing. I cannot believe that I've survived as long as I have without it. And if you haven't used Pattern Keeper before, particularly for your full coverage pieces, honestly, it's been revolutionary. And I thought using Easy PDF was great, and it was. But this new app, it's just so good. And there's I could do a tutorial on it at some point, but to be honest, there's so much good stuff out there already that I'd just be reinventing the wheel. So I would have a look at some of the tutorials that are out there. It's how I've learned to use it. And at the minute I've only got my Heaven and Earth designs on there, but apparently you can do mirabilias, you can do anything, you can put any type of pattern in. So I haven't explored that side of it yet, but I will do. So next up we'll move to my mirabilias. So you will remember Persephone. I feel as though these two have been kicking around now. Where are we? We must be going into my 4th year of me showing these, and to be honest, I was starting to get a little bit sick of showing them. I'm still getting a bit sick of showing them. I need to get moving with them. And now I've got some new starts. I think I've said that already, just to add a bit of interest into this, because I am making quite a saga out of these pieces, which should have been finished. Oh, I just feel as though they should have been finished years ago, particularly this Persephone, this mirror. I feel like, oh, I don't know, progress has just been so slow on her, and I don't know why, because, sorry, I'm just moving my needle minder about. If any of you stitch these, they're not like, they're big, don't get me wrong, but they're not on an epic scale of a Heaven and Earth or anything like that, are they? You know, they should stitch up pretty quickly, but she isn't. So I'll show you her, what she'll look like eventually when she is done, and obviously I'll insert the picture of where I was before. But the good thing is, this time, let me just get her into shot for you, she has a head. Finally Persephone has a head. Not necessarily a full face yet, but she has a head and hair, which is brilliant. So I think the last time I'd showed you, she was definitely headless, and I've gone back in and started to backstitch some of this fancy bit. Now there's a fair bit of beading to go on up here, but I feel, obviously I've still got this other arm to do, and I have been stitching that 1/1. So she is, in essence, 2/2 on 32 count. This is an opalescent hand-dyed fabric from Sparklies, and this fabric is called Slightly Nutty. So it's got like a pinky hue to it, and I don't know whether or not it's translating that well, but the opalescent's really pretty on it. And I've done quite a lot of beading down here. I'm not sure whether I had that last time. Probably did. I felt as though I did quite a bit of beading in the summer last year on her dress. I just sort of sat in the garden and did that, which was nice. But yeah, I finally got that face stitch, and I do like the sort of 1/1. It's just a back stitch. It's like what they call petite point. It just looks nice. It just really smooths it out. I do like the look of it. So I've got her other arm to bring down, and I think that's holding her dress up there. If I pull that up. But yeah, I mean, she's getting there. As I said, there is quite a lot of beading to be done, so I might put this on the frame over the coming couple of weeks and start a bit of beading on her while I'm watching a bit of telly maybe. So yeah, I might have, gosh, I was saying earlier about working from home for the last year. I have really suffered, I would say, since the back end of last year with back and neck pain, which is having a massive impact on my ability to stitch. I'd love nothing more than to stitch, but the pain's pretty bad. I've sat in front of a screen all day, and I will tell you all about that in my my update, 'cause I don't really want to go into that. I am quite keen to show you the stitchy stuff today, but I must admit, come the evening, all I want to do is just literally lay and watch a bit of telly before I go to bed. It's got a little bit like that, and there is other stuff I'm doing as well, which is obviously impacting on that as well, which, as I said, I will tell you. Not that I'm trying to keep you in suspense or anything, but I just didn't want to end up here for an hour chatting to you about everything else, because I know some people are interested and some just want to see the stitching. So here is a Royal Games, another mirabilia. So this is the first one. I do have the second, as you know, but obviously I need to finish this first. So I'm moving, it's getting there. So I will, as always, put you in a picture of where I was before. But now we have a head. So let me get this the right way around. I can't remember which way I stitched this. Clearly, I've put the pink queen on top, the Queen of Hearts. I'm pretty sure I did, but anyway, she has a head. So I've got a head with a queen with a head and one without, a bit like Henry VIII's wives there. But started to make some decent progress on this. So she is not that far off being finished. I think there's beading to go on her, and obviously there's her rose to finish and such like, but that wasn't too bad. I just decided to stitch her skin the regular fashion. So this is, as usual, it's 2/2 on 32 count. This is an opalescent called Oatmeal, again from Kate at Sparkly's, and although it's a hand-dyed fabric like the Slightly Nutty, there's very little in terms of colour variation on it. I just wanted something quite simple because it is supposed to look like a playing card. So that is getting there, as they all are. And then you'll remember my Hush Little Bunny. So this was a kit that I got. So this was a Bothy thread kit, and this is one of the Santoro Gorgeous Girls. This is Hush Little Bunny, and I haven't finished it. Before you get excited, I'm at exactly the same point as I was before, so I'm not going to put a picture in, but I was saying on my last upload, oh yeah, this is just like a night's work, I can get this on the frame real quick and just finish all of the back stitching around the edge. Yeah, as you can see, that never happened. So I did decide just to put like the rest of the fancy frame in, so I've kind of thought about this in my own head. And then there is like another little border that goes around it, which I don't think I'm going to put on. I think I like it the way it is, with just that little fancy piece there. And obviously this fabric came with it. It's just an Aida. I think it's an 18 count Aida, and it already came sort of pre-printed and dyed. Nothing on the back, as you can see, apart from my stitching, which don't look too bad, does it? It looks all right. So that's all that that one is. So you never know, by the time I see you again, it would be good to have finished her. And as I said, it's just really quite simple. So what have we got now? Okay, so you'll remember this. This is my autumn Hawk Run Hollow. I'll put my teeth back in. And it's Carriage House Samplings design. I'm stitching this in the called for NPI silks, and this is a 40 count. It is 40 count. It's like a 40 count even weave. I think it's, what is it, a vintage country mocha or something like that, as I remember, and I'm stitching it 1/1 in the silks. So no, 1/2 in the silks, so it's coming out as a 20 count. Yeah, 1/2 definitely. And I was so far through this 6th block when you last saw it. This looks like somebody slept on it. It's so bad, it wants an iron. But I finished the 6th block, so there are 12 blocks in total with the topper, so I'm over halfway through. It's a beautiful stitch. It really is nice. Let me stand up and show you it properly. It's so pretty, and the colours of the silks are gorgeous. I do have the Halloween Hawk Run Hollow, but I can tell you now I'm definitely not going to do that in the silks. It's just the expense of it was just horrific. It was so expensive, and although the colours are just stunning, and I don't know whether it's translating as well as it looks in real life, I'm sure the NPIs would pop as nicely on it. So with these patterns you always get the alternative for if you just want to stitch it with DMC threads instead of the NPIs, so that's always really nice to have. So that's that. I'll talk to you about what my plans might be, although I honestly don't know, because it's all going to depend on how I feel. But what I do know is that I want to start doing all of this more regularly again, because I have missed coming on and showing progress and letting you see my updates. So I now have 3 new starts, which is really exciting. So I showed you last time I was on, which feels like forever ago. I'm just looking for the pattern. What have I done with it? Bear with me while I find the picture of the pattern. So you left it on the other side of the kitchen, but it is a home of a needleworker too. I think when I showed this last time out, I was saying, oh, it's home of a needleworker, but it's actually 2. There are obviously 2 versions of this. So I'm stitching this in the classic Colourworks threads, and there's only, what, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, only 7 colours in this, so that wasn't too bad to kit up. And then I had, not an old piece, but like a random piece of, what am I stitching this? Is it 16 count I'm doing this? Yeah, it's 16 count. So I had this piece of 32 count linen kicking about, so I just put that on the frame and started stitching. So I've got quite a, well, more or less the front of the house done, and this is just a nice, really simple stitch to just sit and do when you're watching telly. It's not overly complicated. Let me just show you the pattern next to it so you can see. There's always more to these than you think, isn't there, as you start working on them, but the house is somewhere done. So it's a bigger piece of fabric than I need, because I've just had it on the one of the frames, what should we call it, the Omanique, yeah, one of the Omanique frames. So I wanted a bit more width on it so I could roll it at the top and the bottom and move it about. So I think, yeah, it's not huge in terms of a finish, but yeah, as I said, it's just something really simple just to work on, quite blocky, a bit like the Hawker and Hollow piece, little blocks of colours that you can just follow, which is nice. It's not a complex stitch like a Heaven and Earth can be when you're reading a pattern and you're following your colours. So let's move on to the two new starts. I haven't been, I'll confess, watching a whole load of YouTube, FLOSSTUBE. There's other things that I've kind of got interested in over the last few months that I've probably spent a lot more time watching on FLOSSTUBE and on YouTube, and I'll tell you about that in my Stitch With Me. But yeah, I would say there's probably not a lot. So I've kind of kept myself away from any new buys that would be interesting, because that's the problem for me with FLOSSTUBE, is I'll see something that somebody's stitching, fall head over heels in love with it and have to get it, and then it'll just sit there and not be stitched. So I've been very careful not to watch too much. But I think as I was starting to think about getting back into stitching again and doing a little bit more, or trying to, in between work and life in general, I went on the Heaven and Earth Designs website, and yeah, and I'd got into the Pattern Keeper app at that point. I'm like, oh, I'm loving this. I would stitch more Heaven and Earths, and I would. I mean, we all would, wouldn't we? There's so many that I would have, so many patterns I've already bought. You know, you could go on. I've got more than I could ever stitch in my lifetime now, and I know there'll be more additions made. But these two I've had my eye on for quite some time, and you know, when you just take the plunge and you kit them up, and I kitted them up around the time when in the UK the shops were open, so we're getting to the back end of last year, so it would be, I think, September, October time I kitted these up, when I could get to Hobbycraft back in the day when the shops were open, which was nice. And I made a start. So the Pattern Keeper app tells me I'm over 13% completed on both of these, which is a nice position to be in. So this is probably where I spent most of my time. Not that there's been much stitchy time, but these two are definitely where I have done far more work than I have on the rest of them. So I'll put the picture of the first one in for you, and that these are both on scroll frames because I have been alternating between the two of them. So the first one, I'll show you the picture. This is gorgeous. I love this. And I'm doing a mini version, is Mini Winter Kiss. So let me put the picture in for you while I unscroll it, and then I'll just hang it over the top of my little board and show you. So I do like the black and white images, I must admit. I do find them really lovely. And this is where, I'm hoping that you can see it for the light, because I don't think the light's amazing. This is where I've got to, so I think it's 13.6% complete. Let me just leave go of that and try and pick up the light. If I move it, maybe, I know you'll be shouting, no, leave it there, we can see. So I've just reached the top of her head, and she's got like this fancy headpiece on. The trees and the detail are lovely. And I know people who have stitched minis have said, oh, there's quite a lot more confetti in them, and it's always put me off. But I suppose for me, it's always good to get something finished, isn't it? And I'm thinking of, I've only ever completed 2 Heaven and Earths in my life. One was my Christmas reindeer, and the other was my Story Keep. I don't know whether you can remember, what was it called, Simply Meant to Be, the Story Keep. They're both framed and on the walls. They're the only two I've ever done, and obviously I've got the big beast of the Chris Ortega piece, the Steam Heart, which, you know, we're moving into my 4th year. I mean, she might be done in 10 years. So I thought I'm more likely to be able to get, not that it's about completing them, is it, but, you know, get something produced and on the walls a little bit faster if I take a mini. And I must admit, this is stitched up really quite quickly, so much more than I would ever have thought it would. So I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. And as I said, the confetti isn't too much. It's more than you would get with a regular pattern, but I don't know whether or not, I don't think I'm losing an awful lot of detail, and we'll know when I stitch the faces, but it looks awesome. I mean, it looks absolutely gorgeous. I'm so pleased with it, and as I said, thoroughly enjoying working on that at the minute. So let me roll it up, and I'll show you my final new start. So it's another Heaven and Earth, as I think I've already said, and it's one I've had my eye on for ages, and I'm doing a diamond painting of one of, what's the name of the artist? Oh gosh, I'm going to have to go and have a look, and I should know this because I like a lot of her work, bear with me. Yeah, Lisa Parker, how could I forget that? I'm doing the cat, I can't even remember, the Witching Hour. And again, that's another one that's sort of sitting there. I've not done any diamond painting for as long as I can remember, and I did quite like that. I did get into it, so I wouldn't mind finishing that. But this is another of that sort of ilk, and I'll put the picture in for you. It's called The Rise of the Witches, or The Rising of the Witches, and it's a Story Keep version. And again, my pattern keeper tells me I'm about 13.2% of the way through it. So this is where I've got to with this one. So I'm just about, you can see here, about to start the cat ear. And yeah, it's stunning. It's so pretty. The colours are just amazing. I've not ever really worked that much in these types of greens. And it really does pop. It's lovely. And this is, well, they're both, the mini Winter Kiss and this one are both just stitched on 18 count Aida. Nothing fancy. I'm stitching them both 2/2 with just regular DMC, but this is so vibrant, it's beautiful. So I'm thoroughly enjoying working on those. And yeah, I think obviously because I've loved the Pattern Keeper app so much, it's just, it's moved me along with them way faster than the likes of Easy PDF was doing. And as I said, please let me know in the comments box if you've had a problem and not lost your patterns, but obviously you might have, but lost the app and it's just disappeared off the face of the earth. Like I said, I've got no idea, and to this day it still won't load. But that is where I am with everything, and I know it's not, I can't honestly say, having been away for however many months, 10 months, wow, look at all the stitching I've done, it's really quite appalling. But yeah, it's just been mad busy, mad crazy, so much going on. And you know, it's something, isn't it? All progress is progress, and even if it had turned up with one stitch, it's still progress. So where are we now? Today is, are we about, I don't know, I think it is about 19th of March, it's Saturday, I think it's the 19th of March, or something along those lines, maybe the 20th. I think I'll probably come back the end of April, and it's going to give me, you know, 6 weeks or so to work on something for you, if I can. And obviously I'll do as much as I possibly can, but for me it's always just nice to pop on and say hello anyway. And at that point I might talk a bit more than I show stitching, but there was a bit of progress to share today. And in between that, I will, as I said, come on and do a stitch with me. I'll work on one of them, possibly the Rise of the Witches, because the colours will pop nicely, and you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So I think I'll come on and do that one with you. and just have a bit of a catch up and let you know what's been going on. But as I said, life is, it's great as far as it can be under the current circumstances that we're in. But that being said, I'm going to wrap up now. It's been wonderful to get back behind the camera again. It's, as I said, it's been a long time. So I'll make it a regular thing. I know I said this back in May last year and then just disappeared, but I will make it a regular thing and keep in contact with you all. And I hope you're all well. I hope you're all safe. I hope everything's good with all of your loved ones, your family and friends. And yeah, just stay safe. And yeah, hopefully in the not too distant future, some form of normality will resume for us all. But until then, happy stitching, keep yourself safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now. Lots of love. Bye.